Yikes. Definitely got my butt kicked today, man. And I'm gonna admit it. I'm gonna get over it. I'm gonna move on. I got my butt kicked. Kind of recap a little bit. Um, Antetokounmpo was trash, like I said he would be. He got like 20 something points, I think, today. And people were big on him, but I can't really poke too much fun at it because so was Chris Paul. Chris Paul got 19, so if I'd have picked Antetokounmpo, I'd have been in better shape, you know. Um, but I could say I could live with this because it was a weird day, people. I'm talking about um, Chris Paul getting 19 really hurt me. That's not Chris Paul like. Um, and this thing about resting, I think if LeBron and Kyrie and Kevin Love play, um, it would have been a better competitive game, and Chris Paul would have hit value. If I knew that those other guys wouldn't play, I would have stayed away. I remember someone asked me about DeAndre Jordan in a live show, and I said if Kevin Love is down there, and they said, well, Kevin Love can't do anything to DeAndre Jordan. Kevin Love is a good rebounder, so it kind of cuts DeAndre rebound, especially off on the offensive board. Kevin Love crashes the offensive board quite a bit. There's no excuses. It's just that this rest thing is. I mean, I only lost maybe $30, and I won like last night. I had, but who I really feel sorry for are those fans that paid six, seven, eight, probably floor seats, thousands of dollars to go see these big names, the best player in the generation, and just to hear that they're not gonna play, it's unfortunate because it's a lot of money. Um, the only basketball games I've ever been to was playoff games. I saw the Thunder and the Spurs a couple times, but I'm scared. I'm scared to buy a ticket because I might think I'm gonna see. If I go buy a ticket, it gotta be a Russell Westbrook game or a John Wall game or a James Harden game because these guys made it clear that if they feel good, they're gonna play. I think it's just corny, man. It's corny to know that the reason you're so rich is people like myself who are paying all these money and watching you on TV, buying your jerseys. And I get it. You want to protect your body. You don't want to put this wear and tear. You want to get to the playoffs and do well. So I think a conversation needs to be had on the off season on how they're going to either shorten the season or shorten the preseason and extend the season out a little longer, shorten the break off, make the draft sooner, whatever they have to do. It's important. And that's my rant. I think Chris Paul give me at least 35, you know. And then the second one is more my fault than anything. Will Barton. I didn't play him the last game and I got burned, right? He put off 50. So I felt bad tonight and I played him. I chased that point, and you shouldn't chase single game points. He's off the bench. I don't really like to roster bench players, all right? And he's off the bench for 7K. That's a big risk. And I didn't see between the lines, so I take full responsibility for missing that. And Kenneth Faried went off for 7 times value, not 6 but 7. So that was a good call. And all the other players was 6 times value too. Kenneth Faried 7 times, Conley 7 times, Gobert 7 times, Jason Smith 7 times. Tony Allen was what, 5 time value? 5 time value. John Wall about four times. So John Wall could have done better, but it was a back to back. I don't feel bad for picking a guy that get me 40, regardless of his price. I feel bad of chasing Will Barton's points. That's my mistake. If he was starting, yes, and that's what I said in my last video. They were like, Will Barton, he's the only one. And I asked, I said, is he starting? They said no. Hernan Gomez is starting, and that's when I said I'm not playing him. He went out and put up 50 points. It made me feel bad. Tonight, I knew he wasn't starting, but I figured he was in a good spot. I put him in and I got burnt. So that's what it is. Don't chase points and don't pay that much for bench players. That's my piece of advice that I could take from this losing night that I would give anyone. Don't chase single game points and don't play big dollars for people that's coming off the bench, regardless of the matchup. He, he this night that he went off for 50, we still cashed in. We didn't need that 50 to win that night. We still won that night, and we didn't have him. So we don't need a 7K bench player to win. So that's my bad, and I take full responsibility for that. I'm not paying 7K for anyone off the bench. I can pay 4K for Fareed off the bench, and he'll come in and give me good value. I felt good about Fareed. He gave me value, but Will Barton and Chris Paul were the two responsible for our bad night. And like I said, I could live with that. I'm going to get right into tomorrow's slate. Indiana versus Toronto. Um, Lavoy Allen seems to still be out on the Toronto side of the ball. DeMar DeRozan has been way too inconsistent. He can get you 32, 28, 39. For 7.7, you need 40s, and he hasn't been getting into the 40s consistently. This is a better matchup for him, and I want to say I feel good about him tomorrow, but the last time I played him, he did well, and it was against Atlanta, and Indiana is a similar good matchup for him. Detroit was tough, and he still got into the 30s. I'm going to consider DeRozan tomorrow. I think DeRozan is due, and this is the matchup for him, right? Um, Corey Joseph has been way too up and down. He needs about mid 20s. He's done that in the last two games, with the two before that 16 and 10. Again, it's a good matchup for him, but um, for 4,800, I think I could find better. And I already know all my point guards that I need for tonight, and I can tell you from now that Corey Joseph is not going to make the cut. Serge Ibaka is interesting. He needs 30 to make me happy, low to mid 30s. In his last game, he got about 30, but the two before that, 15 and 19. So Serge Ibaka is a little bit risky. I'm gonna hold off on him for now. I don't mind throwing Serge in on a good matchup if it works out at the end that I can use him, but for until I have a nice solid core around him, I won't consider him for right now. Valanciunas, I can definitely consider, man. I think teams have been killing Indiana. He needs upper 20s, and he's been in the 20s consistent. He hasn't been consistent for 6 times value, but he does have some 30 and 40 side upside. And the matchup is just good enough for me to play him. What I'm gonna do is look at Indiana's last couple games and see who they played. They played Miami is on the slate. San Antonio is on the slate. So Miami, San Antonio are on the slate. So let's look at San Antonio and Miami. And I think Minnesota played them too, if I'm not mistaken, right? And let's look at the Sunners. Karl Anthony Towns against Indiana. Oh no, there's no information on them. Whiteside against Indiana. I think he dropped like a 50 bomb on them. 54, right? And then if we look at San Antonio, Paul Gasol against Indiana, he played 21 minutes and put up 29. And David Lee, because you know David Lee and Paul Gasol kind of share it. In 21 minutes, he put up 26. So teams against Indiana seems to do well as far as centers, and those are things that I look for. So I really like Valanciunas, and Valanciunas, I guess his front office told him he's better than Drummond. So he got a chip on his shoulder right now. He did well against Drummond, so if he could do okay, I mean 23, nah, he's not better than Drummond. But I like Valanciunas because of the matchup, and I might consider DeRozan as well for tomorrow. On the other side of the ball, Jeff Teague is a good matchup for him. His price is super cheap. I can dig it, but he needs mid 30s. He's been in the 20s and low 30s, right? 33, 26, 25. So I'm going to stay away from Jeff Teague until he gets that stuff figured out. CJ Miles and Monte Ellis. CJ Miles in the mid 20s. He's been in the 10, 12 area. Monte Ellis comes off the bench. The last game he had 27. The game before that 22. So both of those games were low scoring games against Toronto. Then he's too often he's getting 10, 15, 17, and he's just off the bench. And Paul George has been taking over. So I'm pretty big on Paul George. He fits my system. We need mid 40s, upper 40s, closer to 50. He had 57 in the last game. And then he had some 47, some 46, another 57, 48. So I think he's pretty consistent. The matchup is decent for him. I think Paul George can thrive tomorrow. So I'm going to pull him over. Power forward on Indiana. I'm not interested in Thad Young. He's been putting out 14 and 16 fantasy points. And Miles Turner, um, he needs mid 30s, and he's been in the upper 20s, low 30s. Let's see, teams against Toronto. Let's see if Bigs do well against them. So Whiteside also played them. New Orleans played them. So let's see what those guys did. Whiteside and those Bigs against Toronto. So Anthony Davis went down there and he had a hard time. In 17 minutes, 13. Cousins, did he play that game? Indiana. It doesn't seem like Cousins played. And Whiteside against Indiana. 34 minutes. Not Indiana. Toronto. He only put up 39. That's one of his lowest. So Toronto's a pretty tough matchup. I'm going to leave Miles Turner alone as far as bigs. And I love Valanciunas. That's it for that game. New Orleans versus Minnesota. DeMarcus Cousins questionable, but he says that he's going to play, so I believe him. And because him and Anthony Davis cancel out each other, I'm going to leave them both alone. They both need 60. I think they both get you 40s to maybe low 50s on the best night. But I like to target bigs against this guy, Anthony Towns. In 2 games, he put up 53. It's just hard to imagine he's going to get that 60 that I need with him and Anthony Davis doing what they're doing. So I'm going to leave that situation alone. Jrue Holiday hasn't been consistent. And in 2 games, averaging 30 minutes, he's putting up 40 points against this team. But I think that's before Cousins came. Since Cousins came, he's pretty much been in the 30s and low, 20s, and he's been struggling. He hasn't really got his stuff together. Jordan Crawford off the bench finally came back down to earth. 17 and 21 in his last 2. I need mid 20s from him to be happy. Solomon Hill just went off for 54. Do not chase that. Please do not chase that. We don't chase single game stats. Before that, he was 12 and 20. All right. On the other hand, Etuan Moore is someone that I will consider for tomorrow because he's been consistently around 20, 22, 21, 22 in the last 3 that he's played. So I like Etuan Moore tomorrow. I think I'm going to need some value anyway. So I'll go ahead and pick on Etuan Moore. And that's it for that game. On the Minnesota side of the ball, Ricky Rubio is 7.5K. He needs about low 40s. Anywhere in the 40s, I'll be happy, right? In 2 games against them, he played 30 minutes. He only put out 27 points. I would like to think that's before Levine went out. But recently, he's been consistent. 40, 60, 40, 40, 50. Now, he does have a floor as about 35. That's been his lowest scoring game is about 35, and that's still 5 times value. So if your floor is 5 times value and you have 60 and 50 point upside, I can love that for tomorrow, okay? Shabazz Muhammad, even with minutes, he gets 28, 31 minutes and put out 18 fantasy points. So I don't really trust his production. 2 games, 19 minutes against this team, he's only averaging 11. So he's not someone that I would consider. Wiggins need about 40. And he hasn't been in the 40s in a while. Once in the last 10 games and a lot of games in the 20s. He's going through something. On the road, I will leave Wiggins alone. Karl-Anthony Towns is 10K. I'm not into playing 10K play, especially when he's been in the 40s the last 2 games. And this matchup is going to be tough for him. So I'm going to leave Karl-Anthony Towns alone for tomorrow. Gorgie Jang is interesting. It's just he's going to have a hard time with those big guys down low. And he had 28 minutes in Miami. He put out 13 points. And again, if he can't do anything against Miami, I don't expect too much against DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis. And that's it. That's it for that game, right? Moving on to Miami versus Portland. I like this game a lot. On the Portland side, I'm going to fade everyone. If you look at every position, it's all red. Miami plays very good defense. Lillard is over 9K, or they lowered his price for the matchup, so he needs 50s. Today he had a decent game. He seems to be going off. In 35 minutes, he put up 35 fantasy points, but because I need 50 from him, And there's other good guards that I like, such as Ricky Rubio and Goran Dragic for tomorrow. I'm gonna leave CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. I'm not messing with anyone. McCollum as well needs low 40s. He's been in the 40s consistently. 39, 40, 45. Today he was in the 40s again. McCollum had 40 something points. So he's pretty consistent. In 33 minutes, he put up 32 points. Same story. They're on the back to back, and it's a difficult matchup. So I'm going to fade those. Allen Crabbe is not worth consideration to me, in my opinion. Evan Turner just came back from an injury. He needs to be reconditioned into the game. Aminu comes off the bench. I'm not paying 5K for a bench guy like Aminu, who's not even an offensive driven person. All right. If I do pay for anyone in this game, it's Vonleh. I'm going to pull Vonleh over because he needs about 18 to make me happy tomorrow. In his last four, he's been 24, 15, 19, 15. So it seems like his floor is about 5 times value, and he got some 20 size upside. We don't 24-point upside, which is about 8 times value, 7 to 8 times value. So for that cheap price for a starter that's been doing enough to get us through, I'm gonna pick on Vonleh into because he fits my system. He's been doing decent recently. Nurkic needs about 40. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to Nurkic. He's been inconsistent. He can get you 39, then he can get you 10, 33, and 24. He's too up and down. He had a good game today, back to back, going up against Miami and Whiteside and those strong interior, especially when Whiteside pointed out in an interview on NBA TV the other day that James Johnson is like one of the best defenders. Some defensive stat that he has, the best something when it comes to defense. So he's no joke down there, this MMA fighting guy. So I'm just gonna stay away from the bigs, man. I'm gonna stay away from the whole Portland team, honestly, except for Vonleh for his cheap price. And I may not even get to Vonleh, but he's the one that I saw off of first look that I would pick on that team, okay? On the Miami side of the ball, love Dragic. It's a good matchup for him with Dion Waiters out. Dion Waiters is a chuck. He like to hold on to the ball for too long, and he's a chuck. But he's not playing, so Dragic becomes very good. And if we want to see how he fits in my system, for those of you who are not familiar with my system, we're given a budget of 50,000. I like to pick players that's 6 times capable of getting me 6 times for their price and who do it consistently with some upside, right? So if we look at Dragic for his price, which is 7,000, we need about 42. He's averaging 42 in the last 10 games that he played. In his last two, 46, 48. He did have a 25-point game, but I'm not going to use a single game to discourage me. The one before that, it was 47, 35, 35. So I think his floor is like mid-30s, and his ceiling is 40s and 50s. In 35 minutes against this Portland team, he already put up 42. So I think he can do that again tomorrow, and that's why I'm considering Goran Dragic, okay? Um, Josh Richardson, I'm going to consider him because so to fit my system, he needs to be 24 consistently. He had 26 in 37 minutes and then 20 in 32 minutes. With Dion Waiters out, I think he'll get the start. So he's worth some consideration. I probably don't get to him, but if well, I'm gonna take him out because he doesn't fit my system. But if I'm looking for someone to kind of just fill the roster, which I think I might be at the end of this building process, I wouldn't mind like a Josh Richardson guy who's gonna be thrusted into the starting lineup. We know when guys assume a role that they don't normally play, they do well. And Josh Richardson in the starting lineup might make me happy tomorrow. Normally, I know they like to well, now that Tyler Johnson is healthy, they'll bring Tyler Johnson as Dragic back up off the bench. I think they'll start Richardson and bring McGruder off the bench. Or they might do it vice versa. They like to start McGruder and maybe keep their bench for the defense. Who knows? But Josh Richardson is someone that I wouldn't mind picking on tomorrow, okay? Um, Wayne Ellington is too up and down. He relies on his shot only. And his last two totals have been 11, 27, 25, and 17. If we can get 27 or 25 from him, I'll be happy. But he has to be hitting those threes. And I'm not just gonna rely on threes from my guy, so I'm gonna give him a pass. James Johnson, he two up and down. He can get you 34, 21, 18, 30. We need mid 30s from him, and I can't guarantee that from him tomorrow. So you can't guarantee anything from anyone, but I think it's just too risky from the trend that I've been seeing. Hassan Whiteside, I'm in love with for tomorrow's game. The guy's been hot. He's averaging 46 over the last 10 games. We need mid to upper 40s, maybe 50 from him tomorrow. So he's been at 48, 46, 54, 39, 41. So that's what I like. He played them 40 minutes and he dropped a 60 bomb on them. Maybe that was before Nurkic got there, but I don't care. Hassan Whiteside, I'm definitely gonna pick on for tomorrow. No questions asked. Please get Whiteside in your lineup, man. You need that, especially when Dion Waiters is not gonna be scoring. I think Dragic and this guy's been scoring 20 plus in like 3 straight games. 23, 20, 26, 14, 17, 21 for rebounds, 14. So double machine, man. And I think they incorporate him tomorrow. I love Hassan Whiteside. And that's it for that game. Now, um, I'm gonna do it very vaguely. These last 2 games, I'm telling you right now, I'm not rostering anyone. I'm lying. The only person from these last 2 games I might be interested in is that rookie on the Lakers. I don't really like to roster rookies, but they've been really giving him too much opportunity lately, and I can really get to him because I feel like is his name Ingram? But anyway, let me vaguely go through this slate. I'm not picking anyone from this game, and I'll tell you why in a second. Aflalo Evans seems to be out, or they were out today and might play tomorrow, whatever the case may be. Sacramento is tanking and they're doing different lineups. They're sitting people and they're not letting us know until like 10 minutes before the game. The lock is at 6. So if at 6:30 someone sits in this game, I'm going to be very upset. All right. San Antonio is playing back to back, and we know that they like to rest their stars on back to back, especially when they're playing teams like Sacramento. So for that reason, I'm staying away from this game. And if something happens where before a lock and the value becomes apparent, I'll pick on it. But from based on what I have here so far, it's enough to get me in the green. I feel pretty good about tomorrow getting back into the green. I don't think I've lost 2 nights in a row. So if I'm coming off of a losing night, guys, and you know, hey, this guy needs to be paid attention to, you could just look in the comment section of my videos. I do pretty well. I make some big predictions, and I'm right on. Just tonight, like I said, they rest the players, the late night locks, and all that stuff. It makes a difference. You know, Chris Paul is a guy that feed off a competition. He likes to go up against his friends. Him and LeBron James are good friends. If LeBron's sitting and the team could blow them out easily, they wouldn't even have to play Chris Paul. He didn't even play the fourth quarter. But enough of that rant. On the Sacramento side of the ball, it's too questionable. I don't like playing Darren Collison. Shout out to the person who asked me about him on the early slate today. I told him get him out, and he was a big snowflake today. He didn't do much, so happy that you got him out. Don't consider Collison unless like Ty Lawson is. If Ty Lawson is ruled out in a good matchup, yeah. But unless you're sure that Ty Lawson is going to be ruled out and Tyreek Evans, and because once Ty Lawson is out and Darren Collison becomes the main point guard, I think he has potential. But I don't like to roster him, so that's that. And Ty Lawson is a bench player. Um, you know how I feel. I'm not paying up. Some bench players if the price is right, but I'm not getting to him. Buddy Hield, they say Vladi Divac in the Sacramento organization was getting a lot of heat for trading DeMarcus Cousins for people like Buddy Hield. So the defense mechanism to make it look good to the public was Buddy Hield got the potential to be the next Steph Curry. They gotta be kidding me. I had to put that in there. Buddy Hield is not Steph Curry. I don't see Steph Curry in him. I rather Lonzo Ball than Buddy Hield. I like Buddy Hield when he was playing for Oklahoma. I tend to like Oklahoma teams, but in the NBA level, he's just not doing it. Gary Temple has been consistent. Um, he's about 24. I know today I had Temple today, didn't I? 22. He had 22 today, 21 the day before, 26. So he'll get you 5 times value, maybe 6, but he can tank you into the 11 and the 15 range as well. So It's a little risky. Um, he's someone else that I'll probably use as a filler at the end, but I don't think I'll need him right now. Scal comes off the bench, and he can get you 50 or he can get you 27. He needs to get you around upper 20s to hit value. Today he had 19. So that's just to show you how up and down he can, especially when Carly Stein and Kufos are playing. You might want to be careful with Scal. Carly Stein is way too expensive for his worth. Um, he can get you 50 or he can get you 29, 25, 43, 15. He's all over the place with his scores. In 16 minutes against San Antonio in 3 games, he's averaging 16 minutes and only giving us 12 fantasy points. So he's scary. And Kufos is always worth consideration for less than 4K. It's just that he's one of the vets in a sense on the team, and I don't know if they're gonna play him. They've been resting him, and he's going up against San Antonio, who's pretty tough. On the San Antonio side of the ball, um, I don't trust anything. I don't know who's gonna start, who's gonna rest. Tony Parker played, and he's been banged up, so I don't know. Um, I would definitely leave Kawhi alone for 10K. I know it's a good matchup and all, but not in this situation. He needs 60, and like we saw today, he can get you 40 something and disappoint you. Um, I have a feeling they're gonna rest Aldridge though, with the heart issues and the back to back. David Lee becomes interesting at that point, but I will have to hear it before lock to make a decision on him. I would definitely take David Lee if Aldridge is going to be out. He needs about 30, and he only gets 30 when he plays 30 minutes. He's a point per minute kind of guy. So if I know he's going to get 30 minutes against Sacramento tomorrow, I might pick on some David Lee. But until that news drop, for this video's sake, I'm going to move on. If Aldridge does play for 6,300, I might can get to that. In 2 games, he played 32 minutes average, and he's averaging 32 points. We need about mid 30s from him. I mean, he has a couple games in the 20s, but he has some 40-point upside. So um, he doesn't quite fit my system of picking when it comes to consistency. But for that price against this team, I might can pick on him. But on a back-to-back and pop system, it's almost certain that I'm not gonna get to him tomorrow. Even if Aldridge does play, I just know that Pop on a back-to-back is gonna be a good coach. And I prefer than these guys resting players. They can just at least limit their minutes in the game. You know what I mean? So that way the fans can still get to see them play, but they don't have to exert themselves. Take them out a little earlier, limit their minutes, and give the fans some exposure to what they're paying for. But to completely keep them out, it's very disrespectful, man. The NBA are disrespecting people doing that. It's very disrespectful. I think it's cold that you sell a person a ticket. If I live in a city like Milwaukee, right, and a team like the 76ers come to Milwaukee, the tickets is gonna be like $40. If the Cleveland Cavaliers come to Milwaukee, the tickets are gonna be like $400. All right, just because of the players that's on that team. So people buy it to see these players, and then they don't get to see them. It's very disrespectful that you price the tickets based on the players, and then the players don't play. It's very disrespectful. But anyway, um, how many minutes did David Lee play today? 10 minutes. So I have a strong feeling that David Lee gets some more minutes tomorrow, and I might can get to him. But until that news come out, I'm not gonna mess with anyone, and that's that game. This Cleveland game on the Cleveland side is too uncertain, man. And this game can get out of hand. It's just not a situation where I want to pay up. Coming off of a losing night, I want to be super safe, so I'm not paying 10 grand for any one player. Hassan Whiteside is the most 8,500 that I'm paying him just because of how consistent and almost guaranteed it is for him, right? And that's not really that high. When you get to $9,000 and $10,000 is when I get worried. So that's for that reason I'm not looking at LeBron James. He needs almost 70 to hit me value. We know the Lakers are the team to get that against, but like it's just a lot going on with these teams. And anything that's at 9:30 when lock is at 6, it worries me. I'm not messing around with it. All right. Um, we've been able to dodge this lock stuff for a couple of days. 2 days in a row, we had players who ended up being rested, and I took them out of my lineup. So tomorrow I'm going all early players, man. And I love the lineup that I have here so far. I don't see any weakness in it. Rubio, DeRozan, George, Valanciunas, Dragic, Whiteside. I might have to tweak it a little bit because I'm over the budget, but we're gonna find a way. You know, that's what we do. I think DeRozan is the weakest link with the big players, right? Because I'm not touching Rubio, I'm not touching PG, I'm not touching Valanciunas, I'm not touching Dragic, and I'm not touching Whiteside. So it's between Moore, DeRozan, and Vonleh. And Vonleh is already cheap. So is Eton Moore. So getting rid of one of those not gonna help my price. So I'm almost certain that I gotta get rid of DeRozan. He's just the most inconsistent one. On the LA side of the ball, I'm gonna pick on some Brandon Ingram. So Clarkson is pretty good. It's just that I have enough point guards and I can't afford him in the shooting guard. If I had $5,900, I'd throw Clarkson in. I think his minutes is safe. He's starting now. We need mid 30s, but I think he has a good upper 20s floor, which wouldn't kill me. He's steady in the 20s. He can get you 40-point upside, 50-point upside. In 30 minutes against his team, put up 30. I'll take 30, I guess. I mean, I like 6 times value, but just to fill the lineup, he's someone, but he's too expensive, so why talk about it, right? Shooting guard Nick Young, he's in and out of the starting lineup. He needs about 20, and he's had games where he played 24 minutes and only give you 3 fantasy points against a Houston Rocket team who sucks at the two guard. You don't want to mess with Nick Young. Ingram I do like though, so I'm gonna move Eton Moore and put Ingram. And the reason I like Ingram is because he needs about 30. He doesn't really get 30 consistently, but he gets upper 30s in minutes consistently. Blowout or not, I feel like he's gonna be on the floor. And his floor is pretty safe. Recently, he's been playing good. He can get you into the 30s, but mid 20s is like 5 times value where he settle out. I like to pay down on my shooting guards. He's really a small forward, but for right now, I'll put him in and I'll see if I have enough to go up on him or Eton more. But for right now, I think this is what my lineup kind of looking like. And that's it. Randall's too expensive on the Lakers. Players that I would roster, not knowing about locking anything else, is going to be like a Julius Randle because he's going to get his 30 minutes regardless. He's been okay. He's not the greatest. He's also up and down. And that's it. I can't trust any other Laker, just Ingram, right? So, that's the breakdown of the slate. Stay away from these 2 late ones. Pick from these 3 early games mainly. Ingram is super safe, man. The guy's getting a lot of minutes, and for that price, I think I can go with Ingram. Let's see though. If I had 56, and I need another forward. See David Lee over Ingram if Lee starts tomorrow instead of Aldridge, which I think is a good shot. But we have to know that before lock. So 5:59, and we don't know that. Then I'm not gonna go David Lee. I'm going live at 4:30 tomorrow, 4:15 ish. I would say 4:15. I'm going live. I'm not doing a full hour on a small slate. 4:15 tomorrow, and knew today was a bad day because earlier in the day I lost $100 at the casino, and then I lost on fantasy. So when I went to the casino after lock actually. After I saw how the games were turning out, I said let me just try to win some money. After I lost about $100, I didn't even continue. I just said it's not my day for gambling. So I took $100 loss at the casino today. It's the first time taking a loss in a very long time. But sometimes you gotta feel the vibe. Just get out of there. You know what I mean? Um, Now it's funny because I could pick Gorgie Jang instead of Ingram, but I like Ingram more than Gorgie Jang. All right, so if I could go up on Ingram, it's 5,600. For $100 more, I'd have took Serge Ibaka, but the dice is not rolling that way for me. Eton Moore can be a forward or a guard, right? So if I have 4,600 and I want to go up on Eton Moore, let's see if there's an option to do that. Darren Williams, I can't. So I'm gonna need pretty much a shooting guard at this point, right? I can get to Josh Richardson instead of Etwan Moore. I think that's reasonable because Etwan Moore, even though he's hitting value, he's like what? Low 20s, right? 22, 21, 22. I think Josh Richardson, if he starts, and even if he doesn't, he can get me that same stuff with a higher upside, right? He can get me. I know he's been showing some 14 and 12, but the matchup is favorable, and he's gonna get more minutes. He's gonna get minutes like in the 30s. Minnesota's a tough defense. Portland not so much. So I think he'll be like around the 26 mark, 26, 23. So he has a good shot. Him and Tyler Johnson's gonna get extended run tomorrow. And just because of the injury to Dion Waiters, it makes me trust Josh Richardson more than Etwan Moore. Etwan Moore though, he doesn't have the upside. He's like definitely gonna get you around 20. And he can get you 8. He can get you 8, 17, 12, 17. And it's Minnesota. Minnesota's a very tough matchup. So out of the two, if we look at the two, Josh Richardson and Etwan Moore, let's kind of look at them. So Etwan Moore says have a better matchup, but we know that Minnesota has been clamping down and teams are not doing well against them. They're playing good defense. Portland not so much. So I'm gonna go Josh Richardson. This is it. The lock might make me make changes, but for right now, I'm pretty confident in this. I'm pretty confident. I think this is good. I'm gonna enter it, and then I'm gonna talk to you guys pre-lock, see if anything changed, and let you know what changes I've made. Until then, peace.